The Florida Marlins spent their first 19 seasons as a Major League Baseball franchise, playing in a football stadium. From the team's debut in 1993 through the end of the 2011 season, the Marlins shared Joe Robbie Stadium and its later names with the NFL's Miami Dolphins. It was a workable home in the early years, and the franchise still won 2 World Series titles while playing there, but it was never built primarily for baseball. That is the main reason loanDepot Park matters in Marlins history. When the ballpark opened in 2012, it gave the franchise something it had never truly had before: a permanent, baseball-first home in Miami. The timing also came with a full identity shift. The Florida Marlins became the Miami Marlins, moved into Little Havana, and started a new era on the former site of the Miami Orange Bowl. The Orange Bowl site carried its own weight before baseball arrived. The stadium had been one of Miami's defining sports landmarks for decades, hosting college football, Miami Hurricanes games, Super Bowls, and major international soccer events. After the Orange Bowl was demolished in 2008, the land became the foundation for the Marlins' long-discussed ballpark project. Construction on the new stadium began in 2009, with Populous as the architect and Hunt Moss as the general contractor. The project was completed in time for the 2012 MLB season. The building was expensive, complicated, and politically controversial. The commonly cited total cost is around $634 million, with the public financing structure becoming one of the most debated parts of the project. For the team, though, the actual stadium solved several long-running problems. South Florida weather had always been a challenge for baseball. Afternoon heat, humidity, sudden rain, and lightning delays were all part of the old setup. loanDepot Park was designed around that reality, with a massive retractable roof and air-conditioned interior. The roof uses thousands of tons of steel, and the structure was built to allow the Marlins to control the game day environment in a way they never could at the old football stadium. The ballpark opened first with smaller events before its official regular season debut. A high school baseball game was played there on March 5, 2012, and the Marlins hosted the University of Miami in an exhibition game on March 6th. Miami beat the Hurricanes 7-6 in that stadium opening exhibition for the MLB club. The first Marlins regular season game at the ballpark came on April 4, 2012, against the St. Louis Cardinals. That night had plenty of ceremony, including Muhammad Ali throwing out the first pitch, but the result on the field went to St. Louis. The Cardinals beat Miami 4-1 in front of 36,601 fans. From a design standpoint, Marlins Park looked very different from the retro-style ballparks that had shaped MLB Stadium construction in the 1990s and 2000s. Instead of red brick, exposed steel, and old-fashioned nostalgia, Miami went with a modern building shaped around glass, white surfaces, bright colors, and a retractable roof. The stadium was built in Little Havana, only a short distance west of downtown Miami, and the design tried to connect the ballpark to the city's climate and visual identity rather than copy older parks. At opening, the stadium also had 2 features that became famous almost immediately. One was the large home run sculpture in center field. It was colorful, loud, and very Miami in the eyes of some fans, but it also became one of the most divisive stadium features in baseball. The other was the pair of fish tanks behind home plate. They were unusual, memorable, and clearly built to make the stadium stand out. Over time, both were removed. The home run sculpture was taken out of center field after the ownership change, and the aquariums were eventually removed as well. Those changes said a lot about how the franchise's branding evolved after the stadium opened. The ballpark also earned attention for sustainability. In 2012, Marlins Park received LEED Gold certification, and MLB reported that it became the first retractable roof facility in the world to earn that certification. That was a major technical achievement because retractable roof stadiums use a lot of energy. The Marlins building had to balance climate control, roof operations, lighting, ventilation, and fan comfort inside a large, enclosed venue. The first truly historic baseball moment at the park came on September 29, 2013. Henderson Alvarez threw a no-hitter against the Detroit Tigers in the final game of the Marlins season. What made it even stranger was the ending. The game was still scoreless going into the bottom of the 9th, so Alvarez had finished 9 no-hit innings before the Marlins had even scored. Miami won 1-0 on a walk-off wild pitch, with Giancarlo Stanton scoring the winning run. It remains one of the more unusual no-hitters in modern MLB history. The stadium's next Marlins no-hitter came in 2017, when Edinson Volquez beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 3-0 on June 3rd. Volquez struck out 10, walked 2, and still faced the minimum 27 batters because both walks were erased by double plays. MLB noted that Alvarez and Volquez were the only two Marlins pitchers to throw no-hitters after the franchise became the Miami Marlins, and both happened at Marlins Park. The ballpark has also become one of MLB's most important international baseball venues. It hosted second-round games during the 2013 World Baseball Classic, then became one of the key sites of the 2017 tournament. On March 11, 2017, the Dominican Republic beat the United States 7-5 in front of 37,446 fans, setting a Marlins Park baseball attendance record at the time. That game showed how well the building could work for international baseball, especially in a city with deep Caribbean and Latin American baseball ties. A few months later, Marlins Park hosted the 2017 MLB All-Star Game. That was a major milestone for the franchise, because the Marlins had never hosted the event before. The Home Run Derby became one of the signature moments of the week, with Aaron Judge winning as a rookie. The All-Star Game itself ended with the American League beating the National League 2-1 in 10 innings, with Robinson Cano hitting the decisive home run and winning MVP. The World Baseball Classic returned in an even bigger way in 2023, when loanDepot Park hosted the championship game between Japan and the United States. Japan won 3-2, with Shohei Ohtani closing the game by striking out Mike Trout. For the stadium, that game was one of its biggest global moments. It put the ballpark at the center of one of the most watched and most discussed international baseball games in recent memory. The stadium's name changed in 2021. After nearly a decade as Marlins Park, the team announced a multi-year naming rights agreement with loanDepot, officially renaming the venue loanDepot Park. The deal came during a broader period of rebranding and stadium adjustments under newer ownership, including changes to the ballpark's colors, signage, and overall presentation. Today, loanDepot Park sits in a complicated place among MLB stadiums. It is one of the league's most modern and climate-controlled ballparks, and it has already hosted major moments: no-hitters, an All-Star Game, World Baseball Classic games, and the 2023 WBC Final. At the same time, it remains tied to debates over public financing, attendance, and whether the stadium ever fully delivered the long-term local impact that supporters expected. For the Marlins, though, its importance is clear. The franchise began as the Florida Marlins in a multi-purpose football venue, won championships without having a true baseball home, then entered a new chapter in 2012 as the Miami Marlins, inside a purpose-built stadium. loanDepot Park is not the oldest, loudest, or most traditional ballpark in Major League Baseball, but it is one of the clearest examples of a team trying to reset its identity through a stadium. It gave the Marlins a roof over South Florida baseball, a permanent address in Miami, and a venue capable of hosting more than regular season MLB games. The results around the franchise have been mixed, but the building itself has already built a history of its own.